Busy. Well, hey, hello, everybody.
Hello, hello.
Tiger and Felicia. We're
Buddy.
trying to catch up, and Buddy, the great, and I get the not so great over on our couch here yonder. Hi, say hi, buddy. Hi. Okay, all right. So it's been a little while since we've been out and about. Well, we've been busy. You've been busy.
You've been busy too.
She's been busy. And I just got back from a road trip. We sold Debbie. She sold.
Somebody buy her house.
We need somebody to buy a house. So sold Debbie in less than 20 minutes and came back home. And just in time for Miss Carny to start her new gig. You want to talk about your Carny job?
I was going to be the lemonade lady. So I found an ad on Facebook that needed some help with the concession stand for a weekend of October. And I told Mr. Man here that, hey, we should try this, see if this is something that we could do while we're, on the road later. Why? Oh. He said no. He didn't want to stand up for 8 hours a day, and I thought, what the hell?
No, it wasn't 8 hours. It was 12 or more hours a day.
Okay, but the thing was, he didn't want to stand up for that length of time and wasn't sure what we were doing. But it was a paid gig for $17 an hour over the weekend at a monster truck rally. How bad could it be? Well, my biggest concern was that it was either guest services or concessions. And I said, okay, well, please tell me guest services doesn't include cleaning bathrooms because I'm not in for that. I'm not interested. Not at all. 17, 20, whatever. I'm not interested right now. Later, if it's something I have to do, fine. But right now I'm picking and choosing, and I'm choosing no bathrooms. So Saturday morning rolls around. I have to be there at 8 o'clock. Again, the lady had told me, nope, I'll put you on lemonade. Great. I can do lemonade for $17 an hour for 2 days. Again, Saturday morning rolls up. He drives me because knowing that I'm not going to finish until like 8:30 the first night doesn't make sense to worry about. I don't like to drive at night and not to have to worry about parking and whatever else, right? So I get there and I feel like it's my first day of school. I've got my little backpack on because I brought a drink and a snack and,
Prepared.
Yes, absolutely.
Us old people get prepared when we go places.
It's not old people because you don't get prepared. It's a mom thing. I always have the mom bag. I've got Band-Aids.
I've got your bag.
Huh?
I pack your bag.
You don't pack my bag. You add stuff to my bag like random notes, a lemon. Yeah, we'll come back to that. So get there, and then a few other people start pulling up, and they're all kind of lingering where we are as well because they don't know where they're supposed to meet because they didn't tell us where to meet. The main gate's locked. So no big deal. I tell him that the back gate's open where the monster trucks are. Just drive me through that to the, he shook his head because
I wasn't sure.
He just didn't want to listen to me and take my instinct. So again, he took me to the gate and told me to go walk on in. So I did. Not very happy about that because that was extra walking that I didn't need that day after everything else I ended up doing. But anywho, got there, got to meet Buddy, one of the leads.
Not Buddy.
But I remember
human Buddy.
I remembered his name because of Buddy. So that was
less first. Not as good looking.
But if you're watching, don't worry about that. Anywho, so share the space, for goodness sakes. Got there again. It was early because my, bus driver dropped me off ahead of time for school, and was told we needed to wait till 8 o'clock. And when Mike got there, and we would get signed in, that everybody would clock in. I thought, oh, this is the first time in a long time I've had to clock into anything. I was like, oh, okay. So we walked over to the area where we had to wait after watching them unload stuff from the truck, and I wasn't feeling like helping unload stuff from the truck, and I couldn't anyway because we weren't on the clock. So no clock, no work.
Absolutely not.
Yeah. So we go over to this other area. You got the group of people that are smoking weed, are smoking, vaping, doing whatever in the corner. Decided I don't want to be in that corner. So then I see another two ladies walk up, and I'm like, all right, I'm kind of bored standing here, so let me talk to somebody. I'll have to talk to somebody today. I'm like, hey, is this your first time? Have you done this before? No, never done it before. Scared us all, get out. And the mom walked with the other lady because she didn't want to be by herself because she didn't know what she was doing. Because the mom said, hey, you need to earn some extra money. You want to get your nails done? You want to do whatever? Here's an opportunity for you to earn some extra cash. So it was like, great. And I said, well, great. We'll go together. We won't know anything, but we won't know it alone. And kind of how the whole thing felt. So eventually they opened the door and said, come on inside. Now, mind you, I had already talked to Buddy. I'm walking around like a lunatic with my backpack on, looking like I know what I'm doing, apparently. And I walk in with Buddy, and he's like, okay, you need to sign this one, and then you need to print and sign this form. So, okay, do you have some extra pens? Then we can put pins in both, and we can circle everybody around. So immediately, my OCD is kicking in on how to organize things and how to make things move more efficiently, because we have all these people kind of standing around with their not knowing what to do. I'll say that. So then Buddy makes the comment, okay, if you know what your job is and you're here for concessions, let's start a group. People are not moving. So I go around the table because I heard what he said. I don't know if they didn't hear or just didn't understand. I'm like, hey, concessions people, I'm supposed to be a lemonade lady. Let's join together. So, of course, I'm like putting myself out there, feeling like an idiot, but it's breaking the ice because other people are like, oh, good. I don't know what I'm supposed to do this or I'm supposed to do that. And as we're kind of grouping and everybody else is getting signed and looking at me, which I'm not sure why. And I'm like, oh, just sign, print, sign here. Like, I know what I'm doing. No, I just heard what he told me, so I'm telling you to do the same thing. And if your concessions, get in this pile. And if you're not, go in this pile. So needless to say, that's kind of how the weekend went. He mentioned as he was taking all the concessions people, because concessions people went with Buddy because that's where he was unloading the truck. That's where the drinks and concessions type things were going to be, that he might have to make some changes based on some of the things I guess he was already seeing. So we get to the tent, everybody walks under, and it's partially set up because this great lady that works with them set everything up, but she got sick, and so she had to leave. So she did most of the work getting everything prepped for us, but we just had to then figure out what our jobs were, how everybody was going to be. And again, it was kind of like, we're all standing together, and how much time, when can we start? So I'm like, all right. And as we were walking, he mentioned something about cotton candy. I said, well, who's on cotton candy? Little lady raised her hand. He said, you have to be tall to work cotton candy. She was not tall enough to reach into the machine. So I said, all right, I got any tall people that are interested in doing cotton candy? A couple of people walk over. Why am I asking? Because everybody else is just standing around like nobody knows. Should they say yes? Should they say no? So I said, okay, let's figure this shit out. Because again, you're wasting my time. I want to get on my lemonade. I want to figure out what I need to do. I want to get started because I see no lemonade. I see no lemons. I see nothing of what I'm supposed to do as yet. So move some tall people over to lemonade. Some people over just standing there looking a little nervous. I'm like, okay, what are you supposed to do? Popcorn. I said, there's popcorn. Go on over. Well, there's a couple of people over there. Can I do something else? Asking me. Because again, I'm lemonade lady. I'm not supposed to be doing anything else. But the mom instinct, whatever it is, the organizational instinct, the leadership, I don't know. Call it whatever you want to call it. But it ended up working. It worked out in my favor. Because then I said, no, the two people that were standing by the popcorn machine, one was the guy's mom. So she was trying to help him make sure, because again, she came and she brought him with her, because if she's going to work, he can work, kind of thing. Mm. And again, that's just my take on it, right? There's no reason they can't both be there. So she got him set up, and I'm like, do you want to do lemonade? She's like, sure. So I moved her into the section of lemonade, because already I'm like, I don't know that I want to do lemonade now, because I feel like I'm just, I'm moving along. And
didn't Buddy ask who was the supervisor?
He asked that later. But yeah, so then he says, okay, I need people to do this, that, and the other. And people are still looking around. I'm like, hey, can you do this? Can you do that? Can you do that? Because apparently somebody needed to clarify what was needed. So they're like, okay, where do I put this? So when they came in, I would direct them to an area. I wasn't doing any lifting because I wasn't trying to kill my back, but I could say clearly, let's get each of the stations set up. Let's get the popcorn going. People couldn't fold a popcorn box. I'm like, give it to me. And so I'm setting something up and I'm folding popcorn boxes because they were a pain in the butt. But then I moved over to cotton candy to make sure the cotton candy people were doing okay. And they had 2 different kinds of bags. And I said, well, what are you supposed to use? Which one? Well, we don't know. I said, okay, let's check the price list to see how many bags and what, there's only one price. So one price tells me either we hide the other bags that you did, so the person that pays the higher price for the smaller bag doesn't get pissed, or we're only allowed to use one. Well, that was some of the communication that didn't come through. So we just switched bags. And then I decided those bags that we couldn't use for cotton candy, I was going to use for something else because I wasn't sure if we were going to run out of the bags to put stuff in. So, but that came later. So I've got cotton candy going. It's not fast. It's not an easy process. No, it's not. It's messy as hell. And I had 2 people cut themselves on the machine. And I was trying to help at one point just to say, why not? Let me make some cotton candy. And then when he cut himself, I'm like, excuse me. I'm like, that's it. I'm done. No cotton candy for me. I don't have to do cotton candy. That's not my job. But if we needed it, I was there to chip in for whatever, right? So somehow I ended up next to the lemonade lady, but I was doing, because Buddy came over and started talking to me again like I knew what I was doing about the warmers for the hot dog warmer, for the cheese warmer, for the pretzel warmer, all the setup for chips, because I'm just trying to figure out what's what, and I'm putting things out knowing we're going to need certain things. And they mentioned, well, we have to make the things for the VIP, so once, start setting some things aside, because the VIP tent doesn't have all the equipment that we had. So all the popcorn we're doing, all the cotton candy we're doing, every time we think we're getting ahead, VIP comes in with a great smile and a friendly thing and takes it and goes away. So then we're behind on what we need. Not like, nobody paid attention to the fact that we just sent over all this stuff. But now we're having to catch up again. Anyway, long-winded. I get it. Going through this, the cashiers are trying to figure stuff out. I didn't want to do anything with money, math, with nothing that I had to really think hard about. So I stayed in the back where I was doing cotton candy, helping fill ice, helping make lemonade, which was Country Time lemonade, no squeezing involved. But very interesting when first we were using bottles. And then, of course, you have to clean up because you're in this small tent and people were bringing in ice if we needed ice. We were organizing the drinks, trying to get everything set up for the moment that the doors opened, because as soon as the doors opened, all hell broke loose. People coming into each of the lines, they're asking for stuff. We're a new group together. So, we have to figure out how we're working together, how we're going to get all the things. And it's like, can you just stand there? Tell us what you need. We'll put it on this middle table. You can grab what you need. And that was fine. That started to work out. I put things in each side. So they didn't have to walk all the way over to grab, because I don't know, we had maybe 6 or 7 people that were cashiers, I think, because they were expecting like 3,000 people that first day. And because they had VIP, they had parties, you've got the drivers, you got all the people coming to watch the show. So they were prepared. Strange that there were only like 8 porta potties, which made some other people a little nervous, but they at least had them. Everybody's working as hard as they can, but again, you can only pour lemonade out of a pitcher so fast. You can only cook hot dogs so fast and make sure that they are cooked through. So at one point, we ran out of hot dogs that were ready. So we started to get a back up in the line. Somebody said, well, what should we do? We're waiting on hot dogs, because whoever came first was the one that got the hot dog. Whoever screamed loudest to say, here, I need 2 of these, or I need a this, or I need a that. You turned around, they were there, they got it. And they're like, well, that was mine. I'm like, you should have taken it. So, we tried to get into a groove, and then said, okay, well, why don't you just write on the bottom? Because we had to use specific trays for specific things. The hot dogs were supposed to be put in a little tray so that they could go get their condiments, which were at another table. And then the nachos had a bigger container that you were supposed to use. Because we didn't pour the chips out. You had to put the chips and the cheese and then give it to them, and they could do it themselves, however they wanted to do it, make it less messy. Whatever. So, and then nobody had a pen. So again, I had to go back to my mom backpack, pulled out a pen. I had one at least. I didn't expect the first day to have that many, but I did bring more on the second day, so it worked out fine. Write the number of how many hot dogs that person had paid for and move them into a line at the other side of the tent so that all they had to wait for their hot dogs and they could walk right into the show. Working great. Kind of. But it was just a lot to try to stay on top of. So we start running out of things. It takes time to go and fill up this huge pitcher full of lemonade and then stir your lemonade.
Country time lemonade.
Pour the lemonade. Yep, but people were buying it like crazy. And so they had kind of given us an idea, like on the things that, depending on the weather, if it's really cold, this is what you're going to see go quickly. If it's hot, this is what you're going to see go quickly. And it was cold in the morning, but it started to warm up. So what we thought we were okay with, just kind of thrown out the wall, and everything was going. So that was the first part of the show. We thought we would have a lull in between. Well, we never really got a lull because we were just trying to get everything going. Because as soon as you run out of something, like you're trying to keep things going, but the warmer gets empty and it takes a little while for things to warm up. You're having to circulate things through these warmers because the bottom's really hot, the top's really cold. You've got things kind of exploding on the bottom of like the cheese machine. All interesting things. Had never experienced really any of these things before because I'd never worked a concessions job like this before. I think I did a T-ball concessions thing once before.
Not even the same thing.
But yeah, no, totally different. So we get sort of this lull, and they were supposed to feed us lunch. Somehow that wasn't organized the way it was supposed to. And they're like, well, yeah, you guys could, get a hot dog. Well, we didn't have hot dogs. We were out of stuff. So people were asking me, can I, is it okay if I get a bottle of water? I'm like, yes, we are supposed to get a lunch. We were supposed to get a lunch break. And then next thing I know, I'm being told, hey, let half of them go to lunch and, make sure you've got half of them here to cover just as people, stragglers come by. So I'm like, okay, again, you told me because I'm listening and people are listening to me. Don't know why.
She's only supposed to be doing lemonade.
Yeah.
That's what she was hired for, to do lemonade.
Yeah, that was what I was signed on the list for. I was supposed to be a lemonade lady. I don't know. Anyhow, it was working fine for me because I wanted to stay busy. I didn't want to have to sit on the chair to pour out lemonade and scoop ice. Although I did that, but I didn't want to do that straight for 2 days once I realized the situation of what everything was going on. So we have this lull, and then that's when Buddy came over and a couple of us were talking. He's like, were you a supervisor? And immediately my mind went, well, yeah, when I worked for the government, I was an auditor, but yes, I was in a supervisory position. He's like, no, I mean, were you assigned as a supervisor? I'm like, oh, no. I said, does it come with more money? And he just kind of chuckled. And he said, yeah, we're supposed to have a shift supervisor. I didn't see that one was assigned. So I was just trying to find out. I'm like, no, but I'll take the responsibility. That's fine. Because,
yeah, that's still going.
If I'm already doing it. And at that point, I had my breakfast that I had packed, and it was like 2 o'clock, something like that. And then before we know it, more people are coming in. The cashiers haven't all come back. Like, it's kind of just hit and miss, but everybody comes back knowing, hey, we know what we did in the morning. Now we've just got to try to get prepped for the next rush. So everybody kind of did that, still getting asked certain questions, trying to answer the best as I can. Don't know all the answers. If I can't answer something, then I'd be like, okay, well, maybe we need to go and find, Buddy, or we need to find Mike, or we need to find somebody else that actually works here, Buck, to ask the questions. So we kind of did that. They came in throughout and kind of checked on us to make sure things were going on, make sure to remind everybody that they had to wear hair nets if you were working with any of the food, that you had to put the, the hot dogs in the little containers. They had to be in the little containers. Clearing out trash, doing all kinds of different things. And if somebody needed something, I would point to somebody and say, hey, can you get this? Or, hey, you don't look like you're in the middle of anything. In my mind, I was like, okay, you don't look like you're doing anything. Let's get you gainfully employed because this can't do everything. So it just was a matter of that. And then we come to the end of a shift and it's 7:30 and everybody's exhausted, but everybody's happy. Everybody seemed to get along. It went as smoothly as it could for a whole bunch of people that had never done this before.
They had no clue. All different kinds of walk of life.
Absolutely. So that's kind of what made it fun. Now, was I tired? as all get out.
She slept hard.
I took a muscle relaxer and I went to bed and thought, thank God I don't have to be there at 8 in the morning. We didn't have to be there until 9:30 the next day. Well, 9 o'clock.
Yep.
So here we are again thinking, hey, we know what we're going to do kind of thing. We run out of buns. We run out of chips. We run out of cotton candy. At one point, we run out of popcorn. So again, we're trying to get things in line. We run out of buns. And I said, you know what? Let's keep it moving. Do you want a pretzel and cheese to go with that hot dog? Sure. So I made a new combo. And I'm thinking in my head, shit, am I going to get fired for this? Because I'm just picking and choosing. And when Buddy came around again, I asked, he's like, no, that's kind of a good idea. He said, I'll think about that in case it happens again. So I'm like, great. Keep moving on, keep moving forward until somebody tells me no. I had brought the pins, so everybody was good when we ran out of hot dogs initially because we had a lot prepared, a lot sold, and then we were kind of at that point. But the warmers were still causing issues. We had one person on the first day that brought back a burnt hot dog and the bun. And I thought, how is that even possible? We're not even warming up the buns. We're just putting the hot dogs and putting in the warmers, and then realized anything on the bottom, potentially if it had stayed there for too long, could have burned. So we were trying to not keep things on that very bottom shelf. Well, turned around, opened to get some cheese. My eyes were burning, but I had mentioned earlier the cheese, drips and whatever. Well, it wasn't a drip this time. It was an actual fire. So I just gently closed the warmer back, kind of looked around. No fire extinguisher that I saw. Said, I need somebody to get Buddy for me. I have a fire here. And everybody turns around like, what? Let me see. No, we're going to stop the oxygen going to it, and we're going to try to cut it out. So I said, but if somebody could find Buddy, that would be great, because I'm going to stay here with my hand on this thing and hope that it doesn't catch anything else on fire, because we're under a plastic tent. It's on a table with plastic. We've got paper products everywhere, boxes on both sides of this thing. And I'm like, I'd already turned it off, but I did not move away from holding the door to unplug it because, again, I didn't want the younger generation that were excited to see a fire make a huger thing, a bigger mess. So I opened the door another little crack, still feeling on things. I closed it back. Buddy came running and he's like, what's going on? I'm like, oh, there's a fire at the bottom of the cheese. I said, I'm just trying to get the oxygen off of it kind of thing. So he grabs something to try to pull the very bottom shelf out. I'm pulling cheese away. He's pulling cheese away. They're still in the little cups for the most part, but it was the ones that were close to the bottom that dripped. And it was the cheese that was on the bottom that eventually caught fire. So cheese, fire. If I guess you ever need to be in that situation, burn some cheese. I don't know. But so we got that taken care of. But that meant most everything that was in that warmer cheese that we're giving out with nachos, with pretzels, with whatever, was burnt. So it had to all be thrown away. So then I had to start trying to squeeze cheese into the pretzel warmer while still keeping pretzels warm and still keeping everything going. Because as this is going, nothing has stopped. We're still getting orders. I'm still passing things around. We're still, everybody's doing what they have to do to try to get it done. And, so that's kind of how the day went. Then, we pretty much ran out of everything. We ran out of the buns. I came up with the new combo. That started helping the pretzel sell more or go more.
Go more. Yeah.
I'd run out of chips because I only had like 5 boxes left. There was nothing else on the truck. So once the chips were done, again, we just pushed pretzels and hot dogs and cheese and just cheese. And popcorn and cotton candy, and we're still doing all that. And we had candy bars, but they weren't really selling. So I thought, okay, anybody that's inconvenienced by the idea of not having a bun, if they've got kids, let's throw a candy bar in. And again, I did that without asking. And I thought, what's he going to do? Fire me? It's day 2. I'll go home. It's okay. I won't, I'll be a little hurt, but, it is what it is. He comes around. He's like, no, that's fine. Yeah, that's fine. So
you're making all the decisions.
All those cotton candy things come back. Those cotton candy bags we can't use come back in, and I start using them to build these new little combos. So when somebody says, oh, I need a pretzel hot dog, here you go. I've got it on the table. It's in a bag. It's ready to go. Boom, boom. Get people moving and making things work. Get every pretzel sold, every hot dog sold. No, I'm sorry. Not every hot dog. Every hot dog with a bun with the pretzel combo. We ended up having extra hot dogs that the team, again, we hadn't had lunch, so the team kind of just took, and some took home and whatever. And then it was time to kind of clean up, tear down, and be done. Well, not everybody that was there wanted to be a team player, didn't think that they should have to clean, and kind of just wandered off. Had some interesting moments, brief, heated moments that were eventually resolved, but it ended up with other people having to leave just to have being told that they needed to clock out and get out. But again, I'm just working to the best of my ability, and I was asked, "Do you want to stay?" Yep. Okay. I'm one of the 4 that got to stay. So, and am I lifting the heavy things? No, but I can organize and I can tell somebody else, "Hey, can you lift this for me, please?" And then it was, okay, now we have to move these things. And I got over to moving things. "Oh no, let the guys move it." I'm like, okay, so I would hold it, I would move it, they would take it, and we move things on. "Oh, we need to move these things." "Oh, okay. Oh, they have water in them, they're very heavy." "Oh, hey, you're not doing anything. Would you mind coming and unload these things?"
Those are those barriers, big old plastic barriers that you fill it with
water.
water.
Lego things like some of the guys were able to pick one at a time and run down with them. I thought, oh, well, if they can do that, I can at least try with somebody else. Well, no, the ones I picked up still had water in the bottom of them, and that made them heavy. So I had somebody else that kept coming to me telling me, "Oh, well, I don't know what to do." I said, "Hey, no offense, you're little." In my mind, I didn't say that to the person. "Drain these out for us. We need that done, so it'll make the whole process easier." Great. Happy to be told what to do. Found another pile of trash boxes. Somebody else that was kicking dirt. "Hey, come with me and let's get these boxes," because I knew I couldn't lift the other stuff, but I could walk the boxes. Talked to a few people that were in the same situation, kind of finding out, somebody had been in a horrible accident, and he kind of does this, just to help supplement, because you go from making a huge amount of money with whatever your position was, and you're on disability or whatever it is, and you're not bringing the same amount of money, you need to find other ways to supplement income. And for a 2-day haul, it's not bad, because you are busy constantly. You are sore as hell, especially if that's something you've never done before. Mm-hmm. And like the second day when we were done, we were home, and again, muscle relaxers were great, and they are mine. But I was in bed before 7:00.
And it's a good amount of money, but even more.
Well, and then, so by the time we're done with all of these activities and everything's good and the weather's great and my ride is there to pick me up, and they say, oh, well, everything's done now. Thank you guys for your work. You just have to go in, clock out and get paid. Okay. So they're taking one person in at a time because, they're dealing with all this cash and they don't want a whole bunch of people around and they just don't know. Right. So I go in and I'm told, thanks for doing a great job. And, we really appreciate you stepping up. So I'm going to pay you supervisory pay. I'm like, well, hot dog. Does that sound good? I said, absolutely. I don't know what supervisory pay is. I knew what I was coming in as the lemonade lady. So I thought, well, that's got to be a little bit better. And it was. It was probably about $60 more than I would have made.
Was it? Yeah, maybe $60-$80. I can't remember.
Something. It was more than what I made as lemonade lady, but
a little bit more. It was more than she had.
Yeah, I didn't have to make anything. I could have stayed home and watched the walls, swept more dog hair. I could have done that, but I chose to do something that put me outside of my comfort zone, and now I have that little bit of cash in my stash for something fun later.
So, would I've enjoyed it?
No. You would not have enjoyed it because, like I said, we were not supposed to be sitting down, but you can see physically somebody is just getting so super tired. And so, again, somebody else just standing around spraying bugs. I said, can you please find me 2 chairs? One for myself, because, you do need to sit down and stretch every now and then.
Yeah.
And if you're not leaving the tent, like a lot of the people that were disappearing to go watch a show or whatever while they were supposed to be working, or when they took the lunch breaks. So people that are there, I want to make sure that I take care of that. If all you need is a chair to sit down and be able to do what I'm asking of you, my job as the lemonade person, then I'm going to get you a chair. Yeah. And I don't care what they think. And I don't care where the chair came from, because again, you have to take care of the people that are there taking care of you. And so I guess it was just the natural order of things, but everybody seemed to be happy by the end of the second day. It was like, okay, is everybody coming back tomorrow? Because everybody wanted the same group that was there. So second day felt a little different as far as like energy, and I think my own energy was off because I was so stinking sore. Everybody changed shoes. There are people that came in house slippers for whatever reason. The shoes they thought that were going to be good all day were horrid. Yeah, people were changing. I'm like, tell me you did not wear house slippers all day. And some people laughed. I'm like, well, yeah, because my feet were killing me yesterday. Some people said, no, I didn't do that, but I put them on now because my feet, are crazy. But to me, it was just funny because, again, it's people, it's personalities, it's not wanting to be. It was a different environment than government auditing, in that, yes, I could still bring my leadership skills or whatever to the table, organizational skills to get things moving, but I'm not automatically hated because I'm coming in as an auditor or I'm coming in as whatever. I'm just part of the group that says, hey, when somebody else doesn't know what to do, I give them a suggestion and they liked it. It worked. It made sense. And so it was like, oh, well, I'll come back to her if I have any questions.
You had fun?
Yeah, I really did. The first day, the second day, I was so super sore. I'm like, okay, let's get this stuff sold.
So if they came back and wanted to do it again this weekend or next weekend, would you?
I would, because I've had a chance to recuperate in between.
Yeah.
I would definitely do it again. And now I have a sense of what happens at these things. So whether it was the same group of people and, we were able to just pick up where we started, or it was a different group of people, I wouldn't be as nervous as I was the first day thinking, can I do this physically, mentally, like emotionally? Because all those things go through your mind. Like, you're not working with other people. It's not you don't want to think that, okay, you had this other great job and you made all this money. Well, okay, money is not everything. And that's where I feel like I'm at that point of, okay, while I have a little bit of flexibility, I can do these things and I can try fun jobs. Not fun for everybody.
Wow. Yeah.
But I can do something that I've never done before and earn a little bit of cash so we could take a little, do something fun on a trip, or, go to lunch or whatever, because so many people were talking about how they were going to go to dinner with their money after they got paid. Like, some people were struggling, like they're single parent, multiple kids. They just needed the extra work on top of their, current job. So, but it was a really fun experience. It was something neat I had never done. And I think I would be willing to do it again, as long as, I'm able to set my boundaries. I'm not going to hurt myself to do something like that. It's not something I had to do. It's something I wanted to do, to try. I wanted Lynn with me, but that was because I was kind of nervous. Like, okay, I'm going in like my first day of school. I don't know what to expect. Come with me. Let's do this together and see what's going to happen what's going to happen in the future.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know.
So
I'm glad I sat that one out. I didn't mind being your driver. So.
And I needed a driver because my legs and feet were so sore and so achy that by the time, like, to sit in the car and actually sit for the first time in the 2 days or whatever, the second day, and then by the time I got home, and then to pull yourself out of the car, like, I don't care who you are, everybody was sore, whether you're really fit. Want to jump on you when you get home. Yes. They want to be loved. They want to know where you're gone, where you've been.
All day you were gone.
Yeah, but
okay, we'll cut this one. So that's a story from Felicia about her Carny side gig, and we got more stories
because that just rolled into, hey, I'm ready for another adventure.
He's doing a lot more, and we're gonna talk about that, but we got to go do a doctor's appointment, so we're gonna cut this short here, and stay tuned for the next one because she's got some more stories.
I know I'm very verbose. I talk a lot. But if you're interested, or even if you have some ideas for some other fun jobs, let me know.
Oh, yeah?
Gotta go.
All right. Y'all take care. Bye. Stop recording.